Hey guys, I just wanted to do my review of Supergirl, it's True Justice in the American Way. And the episode starts off with Kara and Alex are watching TV, and Kara is mourning Astra's death until Non flies into her apartment and asks her with no hidden agenda just to officiate Astra's ceremony, and they send some space pod, which is supposed to act as a coffin into outer space. And Nan says that he will give her. There will be a 2 week mourning period or a 2 week truce between his army and Kara until he decides to kill her and enact his plan. And the following day, Kara goes into work, and Wynn informs her that Kara has a new assistant named Savant Smythe, who is also the civilian identity of Silver Banshee, and she pretty much like a stuck-up, pretty much ambitious, new assistant to Cat Grant, and tries to and makes it obvious that she totally wants to one up Kara, as she explains at the end of the episode that she wants to, learn from Cat Grant, be the new Cat Grant, and start her own brand and mockingly tells Kara that she'll be the one pressing her dry cleaning one day. And she wasn't like I'm not. I mean, she was. It was nice to kind of like fleshing out the character more so than they did with Livewire, because I think they did too much of Livewire, or at least they're introducing a villain over a multi-episode arc and like fleshing out their backstory, which is like a nice change of pace as to making them just a villain of the week, which I was afraid they were going to do because there were already like press releases of photos of Atalia Ricci in the Silver Banshee makeup, who, fun fact, is actually is the fiance of Robbie Amell from The Flash. And so the main problem is that there is this bounty hunter is hunting down escapees from Fort Ross. And there's I guess a hinted nod to Lobo from Superman lore, when Alex asked, "Wait, you don't think?" And Hank and John Jones just says, "No, if he was in town, we wouldn't. If he was in town, we wouldn't know." Turns out they found out that this master jailer is basically a former guard of Fort Ross, and he's going around executing former prisoners in Fort Ross, even though most of them are living peacefully on Earth, including one who teaches astronomy at a local university in National City. Or becomes one of his targets. And also another subplot is that the fact that they're still keeping Maxwell Lord locked up in the DOE, and that even Catco is starting to investigate the story, and Jimmy is trying to be a voice of reason to tell her that they can't keep him locked up indefinitely without due process, and Kara just reasons like that's the only way I can shut him up and keep people safe from him. He's evil, etc., etc. And there's also this moment a couple moments where James is confronted by Lucy Lane, where using her government connection, she finds out about the DOE, and he unintentionally gives away that she knows about the DOE, and that which also implies that he's close to Supergirl, and which pisses off Lucy Lane, and she storms off, and then Cat Grant, occasionally being this unlikely voice of reason, talks about how this one time when she was working on the gossip columnist at Daily Planet, how she ultimately caved into the pressure of a PR guy to write a puff piece on an actor who is basically an abusive husband, and she never mentioned anything about what was going on at the domestic abuse, how he was abusing his wife, and how he ultimately shot her 3 months after she published the puff piece. And basically, and it basically realized that, and that was what pushes Kara, reconsidering, not taking the law into her own hands and playing judge and jury, and how the Kara that James knows would stand for truth and justice like her cousin. And it's not until Kara's forced to confront the master jailer, who they find out is disguised as a corrupt cop on Earth. He's posing the corrupt cop on Earth, like tracking down all these escapees. That he's basically has a very like black and white perspective. Like, all the escapees must be executed and punished for their crimes, even though his latest victim, the professor, was basically an alien from another planet who couldn't afford his wife's medical treatment, so he went into drug smuggling and got caught on his first attempt. And this is something he just did out of desperation. He wasn't like a murderer. Or a psychopath or any kind of psychopath. But apparently the master jailer doesn't care, and he justifies it, and the master jailer justifies his actions as trying to honor Astra's memory, and as well, Supergirl is captured in this prison under red sun radiation. And when the master jailer realizes that, he wants to kill Kara too, just because she's going to be opposed to his actions. Is when she kind of comes to her senses. Is also where Alex gets her moment comes to the rescue and is able to find the spaceship, the master jailer's spaceship underneath a cabin, and fire a gun where she blew a hole in with C4, just to emit yellow sun radiation. That Supergirl's able to kick the guy's ass. And it allows her to, and she decides to release Maxwell Lord. And when he questions why, is because, well, I'm taking the moral high ground to show that I'm a better person than you are. And Kara says, I hope your better angels will convince you not to, just to keep your mouth shut. But Alex also just comes in saying that if you threaten to expose Kara's identity, we have enough intel gathered on your illegal activity to expose to the world too. So they're kind of at a stalemate, and there's also like a lot of tension between Kara and Hank Henshaw, John Jones, because Hank lied about killing Astra when it was really Alex who did it to save Hank's life. And she obviously she's obviously has a lot of hate and disgust to the point where it's like she's questioning whether or not she'll be able to work with him anymore. And overall, it was a pretty good episode. I just felt like it was pretty, I don't know, there's something about the show where it just feels like it's more heavy-handed about their themes and lessons than they are about on like The Flash and Arrow and other Berlanti Productions, CW superhero shows, at least the ones that I've watched. But what do you guys think of the episode? What do you like? What do you dislike? Is there anything I forgot to talk about? Leave it in the comments down below. If you like this video, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.